Welcome to Jerusalem. I want to give just a few brief remarks about the city and an overview of the city as we look on to this spectacular panorama. It's a fascinating city. It's a city rich in culture. It's also a city that I think is quite complex. Jerusalem is one of the most famous cities in the world, one of the cities that has the longest continuous human habitation, going back well over 5,000 years. It is a city that is sacred to three religious traditions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Throughout its history, up until at least the 19th century, Jerusalem was more or less a large town. At no point before the 19th century did the population of Jerusalem exceed 40,000 people. Today, the population of Jerusalem is roughly about 830,000. We are now up at an elevation about 850, 900 kilometers above sea level. We are far away from the coast. We are up in the hills. We are far away from any trade routes. And it's not the most likely of places that you would find a city of this great importance. But there is one thing that Jerusalem has in abundance, and that is religious attachment. For well over 3,000 years, various religious communities, Jews and Christians and Muslims, have viewed the city of Jerusalem as one of their, if not the most important sacred site. You can really get a good sense of the importance of Jerusalem as a sacred city from looking at the skyline of the city of Jerusalem that is made up by several domes. So if you look off into the distance, you will see the most obvious object before you, the most often photographed building in the city of Jerusalem, and that is the building with the gold dome. That is the Muslim shrine, the Dome of the Rock. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre is on one of the hills of Jerusalem, the Dome of the Rock on the other hill. The Dome of the Rock is in conversation, in dialogue, really in dispute architecturally and spatially with the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. So you have an Islamic holy site, the Dome of the Rock. You have a Christian holy site, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And then if you move your view back to the left, kind of right in the middle between the Dome of the Rock and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, you'll see a white dome. That is the Hurva Synagogue, a synagogue that was in the late 19th and early 20th century up until 1948, the main synagogue here in the city of Jerusalem, built in the middle of the 19th century. And so you have three religious traditions represented by three important institutions and three buildings, all of them surmounted by these domes. It was only in the middle of the 19th century that people began to move and live outside of the walls of the old city and began to build what is today the new city of Jerusalem. And what you can see today now is a century and a half of building efforts that begin in the middle of the 19th century.